Good Friday morning. So, today we're on Psalm 30. Psalm 30 is titled Joy in the Morning. So, let's hop right into it. Verse 1. I will exalt you, Lord, because you have lifted me up and have not allowed my enemies to triumph over me. Lord my God, I cried to you for help and you healed me. Lord, you brought me up from Sheol. You spared me from among those going down to the pit. Sing to the Lord, you his faithful ones, and praise his holy name. For his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor a lifetime. Weeping may stay overnight, but there is joy in the morning. When I was secure, I said, I will never be shaken. Lord, when you showed me your favor, you made me stand. Like a strong mountain, when you hid your face, I was terrified. Lord, I called to you. I sought favor from my Lord. What gain is there in my death if I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it proclaim your truth? Lord, listen and be gracious to me. Lord, be my helper. You turned my lament into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with gladness, so that I can sing to you and not be silent. Lord my God, I will praise you forever. Now here's the part where most people kind of get tripped up here, is because when you are faithful, when you're acting in an identity of love, when you're being faithful, inevitably God is going to reward you for that. And if you're not prepared with how to handle that reward, you're gonna put yourself right back to where you started. And so here's what I mean. It's kind of like, so if you think about it, it's like a lot of people, it's easy for them to do their best when they're under pressure. It's easy, like if you're in college, it's easy for you to put your most time into studying if your grades are on the line, and this is like and passing this test is like your all or nothing. It's a lot easier to put your all in. Or if you're trying to make money, it's a lot easier to go to work and then come back from work, and it's a lot easier to put your time into other things that make money. It's because I need money, so I'm kind of more willing to do these things that are hard. But when times of peace come, it's really easy to say, oh, look at what I earned. And because I earned it, I'm just going to kick my feet up and just kind of chill. Well, that kind of an attitude is going to put you right back to where you started, and you're going to have to rework yourself back up. And so when we talk about Christianity, we're going to relate this to a faithfulness to pursue Jesus' love. This is kind of how we're going to close this whole thing. When I want each one of you to kind of think about when you first gave your life to Jesus. I guarantee you that every person remembers exactly what happened when they gave their life to Jesus. They remember what they were doing, what thoughts were going through their head, what day it was, and they remember why they did it. And a majority of people, the reason why they did it is because either they had nothing to lose or they were at absolutely rock bottom and they figured, well, this couldn't hurt. And when you're in that kind of a place, there's a sense of desperation of God, of Jesus, I need your love more than anything right now to get me through this. But a lot of us, when we do get through it, it's, oh man, look at what I did, and look at how faithful I was to Jesus and everything. I need to take a break from doing so much. I need to reap the rewards of what I'm doing. Now, there is an element of be joyful, and actually, there are, you do have to celebrate victories. I will say that. You do have to celebrate every step forward, but never to the extent of, I don't have to do anything anymore. Because kind of like what I said in the beginning, when it comes to faithfulness, you're either growing in godliness or you're either diminishing in godliness. So there's no such thing as I'm just going to kick back and just not do anything. Because if that's the attitude, you've shifted from an upward trajectory to a downward trajectory, and pretty soon you'll find yourself needing to be desperate again. But that's not how it needs to be. Now, in the New Testament, Jesus heals a leper. And not a leper, yeah. He heals someone who's suffering from leprosy. So a leper is someone who has leprosy. So he heals this person with leprosy, and he tells them to go to the priest and to do, to fulfill what was written in the law. And so the core of it is that the purpose, not the purpose, but to get healed, it's for the purpose of growing closer to Jesus. If you have money trouble, the reason, what your motivating reason should be is, I want to be faithful to overcome this money problem so it's easier to be closer to Jesus. Because if that's not your main reason, when you do overcome this money problem, you're going to say, all right, thank you, Jesus. I'll see you later when I need you. And that's a life of today's great, today's bad. Today's great, today's bad. And so this kind of faithfulness is kind of, the faithfulness to pursue Jesus is kind of like, it's what should be pushing your faithfulness in every other area. So like for me, like I love studying the Bible. I love going to church on Sunday. I love going to Bible studies on Wednesday. I love listening to all kinds of Bible teachings. I love serving the Lord with everything I have. And whenever hard times come, you don't see me overcoming these troubles and then going right back to doing what I want to do. I've applied these principles I've taught you all week. I've applied these principles in my life over the course of a few years, and the result of that diligence is, in the beginning it may seem hard, but there comes a point of, I don't know what I can do. I don't know what's the point of doing something if you're not in it, Jesus. This diligence grows you to that kind of point, because your heart gets softer every single time you're faithful. And if you're faithful over the course of a few years, your heart becomes so soft that you actually forget what it was like to not have Jesus in your life. You become hyper aware of just how much of a role he plays in every aspect in your life. And that's the point of being faithful. If every time you're unfaithful, your heart hardens, then the opposite is every time you're faithful, your heart grows softer to Jesus. And last week I talked about how the goodness of God is, you can't put it into words. It's so amazing. And every time you're faithful, your ability to receive that love grows bigger. And honestly, this is a big reason why I think Jesus was crying, or not crying, but why Jesus was suffering so much in the Garden of Gethsemane. Because when Jesus was in the garden, right before he's taken to the high priest to be sentenced for crucifixion, he's so stressed and there's blood pouring down from him. But personally, I don't think it's because he was stressed about the beatings and the crucifixion, because if you remember, there's a lot of martyrs who came after Jesus who were more than happy to die, if that makes sense. They were more than happy to suffer these things. So Jesus, I don't think it was because he was stressed about what was going to happen, but I think that the stress was there because he knew that there was going to be a short period of time in where he was separated from God. And that for Jesus, he didn't know what it was like to be separated from God. He had spent his whole life completely faithful to God, that his heart was so sensitive to God, he was so hyper aware of how real God was, that I think the stress came from him not knowing what it was going to be like, not having that hyper awareness of God's presence. And that's why he was so stressed and there was blood coming down him. And so this whole idea of faithfulness, there's a lot of blessings, there's a lot of cool things that are going to happen. But the best thing that'll happen is that you'll realize that the love of Jesus is real. And if it's already real to you, then it'll become even more real to you. That's just how it works. That's just how the biblical principles work. Is the less weeds there are in your heart, the greater your capacity to feel his love. And pretty soon you'll get to a point where it's just, I don't know what I would do without you, Jesus. And that's honestly where I'm at. So there's a lot of cool things to look forward to. So with that said, I hope you guys had a great week, and I hope you're excited for the weekend. And I will see you on Monday.